The first thing that I want to say to the subscribers and all of the viewers out there on YouTube is thank you. Thank you so much. The fact that we had this movie on YouTube for roughly 4 weeks and it got 100,000 views in 4 weeks, that was probably the best thing I could have hoped for. The comments, for the most part, have been really favorable. People have recognized and acknowledged the things that I hoped that they would. They've really been appreciative of how closely we tried to stick to the original comic. If there's one thing I would love to address, and I don't mean to be an ungrateful filmmaker, it's this insistence that because a Batman costume is blue, yellow, and gray, that it somehow must be Adam West. And that's not the case. We followed Frank Miller's issue #1 to a T. His costume starts off the classic blue, yellow, and gray, and we will stick through that, or at least the comic will stick through that, through the first fight with Mutant Leader. And his costume gets trashed during the fight with Mutant Leader, and then when he goes to fight Mutant Leader a second time, that's when he switches over to the black and gray costume. And that's what we will do, which brings us to a whole nother issue. Probably the question that we get asked the most now since we've released the film is there going to be a part 2? Are you going to do more? And the honest answer is, when I originally set out to do this, and I've wanted to do this for years. I read this back in 1986 when it first came out. I was a 22-year-old film student, and all I ever wanted to do was make a short film out of that first issue of the comic. Yeah, of course, I'd love to do the entire series as a big, elaborate feature film. I would love to have done like, a $50 million studio version. But, pending that, I always wanted to do this short film. That's what I always imagined. So now that I've finally gotten to do it, I thought, well, there it is. I've done The Dark Knight Returns. It's out of my system. But the reactions have been so good that, of course, I'm thinking about doing more now. And I have a tentative plan in my head. And the plan is to do 3 more films. And they would each be more or less based on the next 3 issues in the series. The next film would be called The Dark Knight Triumphant, and it would deal primarily with Batman fighting Mutant Leader and the things that happened there. And then, of course, in there you'd meet Carrie Kelly and get to know her more and see her become Robin to Bruce Wayne's Batman. And you get a little taste of Superman, and you'd get more backstory and details on what's going on with the Joker in Arkham Asylum. Part 3 would be called Hunt the Dark Knight, and that would deal primarily with the Joker getting loose after his appearance on the David Endocrine show, him running through the fairgrounds killing people, the showdown in the Tunnel of Love between Batman and the Joker, and then, of course, Batman nearly dying. Part 4 would, of course, be called The Dark Knight Falls, and that would deal primarily with Superman dealing with the war on the island of Corto Maltese, and then the Russians launched the big nuclear missile, which Superman nearly dies diverting, but then the shockwave knocks out the power in Gotham City, and Bruce Wayne recovers. He wakes up and he rallies the sons of the Batman to help him control the violence in a darkened Gotham City. And then, of course, we'd segue forward and have the fight scene, the classical Batman versus Superman fight scene that climaxes the series. And each film, I'm thinking, would be about 45 minutes, about the same length and scale as what we've already done. If I have my choice, I'd like to start on Dark Knight Triumphant in 2018, and then possibly do Hunt the Dark Knight in 2019, and then if that all goes well, do The Dark Knight Falls in 2020. I can't start doing more Batman right away. Number one, you know, we have to work and we have to do regular production and we have to pay the bills. And then in 2017, my good friend Jason Contini, who is part of a production company called Archlight Studios, Jason played the taxi driver in The Dark Knight Returns, and he was also my assistant director on The Dark Knight Returns. In 2017, Jason is shooting his feature directing debut, and that is called Retribution, and that's a Western. And Jason has asked me to be the cinematographer on that film. That production will take the bulk of 2017 to prepare and then shoot. So I need to get through Retribution, then write some scripts, and then we'll have to seriously consider the donation idea, because still, being a fan film and being a situation where it has to be nonprofit, we've got to be careful with how we do this. Despite the fact that I'm critical of studio films, and despite the fact that I'm here making fan films about DC characters, I really have to respect the fact that it's their copyright, it's their thing, and that, you know, I can understand that companies get upset when fans make films and then attempt to profit off them in any way. So there's a very fine balance there, and I just want to make sure that we don't do anything silly or do anything too high profile. I'd love to have the support of people, and we'll figure out a way to do that. We'll figure out some way that fans can contribute and help get these films done that will not attract the unwanted attention of the copyright holders. In the short term, I'm really looking forward to doing more behind the scenes stuff. We had a great young filmmaker named Gabe Sheets who was along with us for most of the shooting days, and he got a lot of great behind the scenes footage. We were shooting behind the scenes footage with our cameras, taking still photos. We've got some really neat stuff on the Ferris 6000 car crash, which was done in miniature. We've been asked for special effects demos on some of the scenes in the film. I know there's been a lot of interest in the Bat Cave and how we did the Bat Cave. So hopefully once or twice a month over the next year or so, we can release a video just detailing, you know, how some parts of the film were done. I want to thank everyone again from the bottom of my heart for watching the film, for embracing it the way they have, for giving me all the encouragement and support that they have, for sharing the movie, for spreading it around, and we're really going to try and do our best to keep going. And I really want to encourage people to go to my YouTube page and look at some of the other stuff we've done. We did this fun little Star Wars film a few years ago called Trinity, which, you know, it's kind of a slower paced, you know, quieter little film, but I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll get a big kick out of Trinity. You know, we've done some music videos and some commercial projects that we're really, really proud of. And also, as we start getting into production on Retribution, I'll be releasing some behind-the-scenes videos on Retribution and giving some progress reports on that, and letting you know how that's going. So stay tuned. We'll try to keep doing good work, and as far as the Dark Knight legacy is concerned, we will try our best not to let you down.